It's hand.
Yay!
There
Okay,
we
we're
go.
recording. Thank God. Jesus, that's freaking annoying. It wouldn't be a good day if we didn't start out with an annoying technical issue because for some reason, like, why fix what's not broken? It was just fine before. I mean, I don't understand. I don't get it. Welcome, you guys. Good morning. Happy Monday. We don't want to waste any time because I've got some stuff to read to you guys, and I'm super excited about it. But if you are just joining us, make sure you do your gratitude. We always start our day out, and we always start this Zoom out with gratitude. Um, if you don't have a journal, go get one because it makes you want to stick to it more when you got a pretty little book to do it with. Get consistent with it because I will tell you what, when you start your day out, even when things are going really shitty in your life and you start your day out with having to think about things and dig deep and write down some things you're grateful for, it does absolutely 100% make your day go better. So you can share with us in the chats if you want to, something you're grateful for today. Um, and so much, like Lavelle, we are coming out of, I just did a Zoom Thursday night and I was talking about it's time to wake up. It's time to get our head out of our butts and work this business because I mean, I can just tell by this morning Zoom, 60 participants. I mean, to me that's just like not acceptable. But what it shows is that so many people are just unplugged. They unplug. They see their teams aren't working as much, so they stop working as much. And I mean, summer gets us all off course and all off schedule, but that's coming to an end. I mean, real quickly, as you guys can see, the month of July just went like so freaking fast, and we got to get back in the swing of things if you want next year. Like what you're doing right now for your business is going to set you up for what happens next year, like plain and simple. End of story. What you do now is usually what produces 3 to 6 months from now. So you need to ask yourself, what are you doing? Because I mean, businesses don't grow magically by themselves. They just don't. So today I want to talk about my favorite topic on the freaking planet, which is leadership, because I don't think that you can get to 200K to 80K to 12K to 4K without having some leadership skills, learning leadership skills, because this whole business is about people and taking people and showing them how to go to that next place, believing in them, catering to them, making them understand that if you did it, so can they. It's about leading by example. And if you don't have any kind of leadership qualities that you're learning, then it may be the reason why you're stuck. And so there's this book. It's called 9 Things a Leader Must Do. It's a super easy, quick read. And it's by Dr. Henry Cloud. And it's forwarded by John C. Maxwell. But anyways, it's called 9 Things a Leader Must Do, Breakthrough to the Next Level. And these 9 things are the things that I have been mastering for the last 12 years in this industry. They're the things that I center my leadership around. And it doesn't matter right now if you're on here and you don't even have a team. I don't care if you don't even have one person under you. You need to start honing in on these skills because I'm a firm believer too that if you don't have these skills, you won't attract anybody to lead. So you have to start adapting these kind of skills in order to for people to be drawn to you. You have to apply and have the qualities of leaders and what leaders do to get to that next level. So as I've been doing on Mondays is just motivational. I really want to talk about these 9 things, and I'm probably not going to get all through not all 9 today. It'll probably have to be continued. Probably do half today, half next Monday. But I do, I was looking at this book. It is a short read, and I thought I can't say it better than this book. And there's a lot of you on here. You're just not readers. You just don't self-develop. In fact, most of the self-development that you do get is only when you hop on a Zoom like this. So I thought I'm reading it. Like I'm going to talk to, but I'm going to read a lot of this because honestly, it's going to be, I can't teach it any better. And it's what taught me and it's what got me where I am today. So developing and honing in on these skills. So basically, the first thing is, thing one is leaders explore their deep hearts and invest in their inner desires and drives. And I wanted to basically say that, like, what that means, to me is that you listen to your heart, you invest in your inner desires and drives. What does that mean to you? It's being, in my opinion, it's being so, I guess the word would be, it's 4 a.m. I'm trying to think of the right word to use. It's being so passionate, that's the word I'm using, about what you're doing and about what you want to do, that nothing, it drives you. It's your desire, it's in your heart. Nothing can get in your way. So anyways, I want to read a little bit of this, and I'm going to talk about some of the stuff I'm reading, but I'm telling you, it can I can't do it better than this. So that's where we're going to start. Let me find where I wanted to start. Okay, I'll just start here. All levels of leadership in this business world, every blockbuster deal, every new rung on the corporate ladder, every project design, every company merger, every successful sales campaign began and begins in the invisible soul of a human being. Leadership success is the process of digging up the treasures of the invisible soul in order to bring dreams, desires, and talents into the visible world. So the first thing, and in this book, he calls them deja vu leaders. Be a deja vu leader. And the reason he calls people deja vu leaders is because what he had noticed over time is deja vu. When he would see someone succeed in leadership or in life, they had the same characteristics, which he kept having deja vu, right? So he calls it deja vu leadership. And he says the first thing deja vu leaders do to succeed is listen to their hearts and invest in their inner desires and drives. In order to optimize his opportunities, or your opportunities in business and in life, to be a deja vu leader, you have to become aware of your dreams, your desires, and your talents, and your other treasures of your soul. You have to listen to them and value them. And then you have to take steps to develop them, beginning in very small ways, which we're going to talk about. Seek coaching, help to make these ideas and these desires grow. And then you can't care as much about your results as the essence, right? About, you have to care more about what you're going after in long term than the results right now. So why don't we seek this eternal life? Because we all have experiences that make our eternal life unavailable to us. For example, some people don't have observant and encouraging parents. Maybe their family, they had things happen in their life, in their family, which maybe they had a family that kind of dampened any inner drive or inspiration. As a result, they find themselves living lives that are out of touch with the very center of itself, with their hearts, minds, and souls. Deeply exploring your soul means that you must face some fears and obstacles. What caused you to bury your treasure? Was it a harsh parent, a tough relationship, a lack of opportunity, resources that caused you to give up, a subculture that put you down, other people who didn't like what you brought forth from inside your heart and soul, the times you tried and failed? One thing is sure, there is no shortage of things in this life that can cause you to bury your heart and soul. The truth is, however, that those who succeed in business or in any aspect of leadership in life have not allowed these influences to keep their dreams and desires hidden. They have dug them out, faced their fears, taken risks, failed, gotten back up, found that they could indeed build something magnificent. I can't talk it for in the morning either. Julie was such a person. When she was in her early 20s, she fell in love and married Devin, a winner, the type of person who knew who he was and where he was going. Devin pursued his career, built a big electronics business, and achieved considerable success. Although Julia had always enjoyed school and directing various service projects, after marriage, she quit doing much with her organizational talents. Overshadowed by Devon's drive and aggressiveness, she became more of a follower of his career and life. At first, the cause of her withdrawal from these things she enjoyed seemed to be the demands of her role as a mother of young children. But there were other causes more subtle. Devon put her down. He had many ways of dominating, but the most harmful were those in which he discontinued her abilities. Slowly, she retreated into the area where she did not have to compete with him, that of being a mother. She performed very well in that role and just put her other talents aside. As many other stories go, years later, Devon became bored with the woman he had subdued and fell in love with someone from work. He left Julia behind. After the divorce, she did not know what she was going to do. She felt lost. And I want to stop right there for a minute because I guarantee there's people on here right now that one of the reasons you joined this industry was to find yourself. Maybe you felt like you were only a mother, or that you got lost somewhere along the way. And I think that's important because you got to start with all these inner demons and the battles before you can turn into and attract other people to want to join you. You just have to. Her friends, let me continue. Her friends would have none of that, however. Some of them knew her before she married Devon, and they knew of her outstanding talents and abilities. They pushed her to step out. She resisted, feeling that she was stupid and could not really make the kind of decisions required to do the things of work they were telling her to go for. But her friends would not hear of it, so Julia relented, and her friend Molly hired her to work in her company. Julie was not long in her new job before she began to put her hand to organizing things around there, even beyond her assigned duties. Then she discovered that to help the company as much as she wanted, she needed to acquire some computer skills that she didn't really possess. The thought both frightened and excited her. So without others knowing it, she took a class at the community college. Gradually, she offered to help on some of the bigger projects at her place of work. Some employees from other departments turned to her for help. She was gaining a reputation. Not long after, she was moved to a new position in more complicated operations, and within a year, she was running a division with big budgets. As she related her story, Julia said one thing that was quite telling. I had somehow lost touch with what I like to do, and I slowly had to come to believe that I couldn't do it. It was like a part of me had died. Then when I thought about doing it again, I was too afraid to try. If it weren't for Molly making me step out and try this little job, I don't know where I would be today. This choice, I believe, is always put before us every single day. We are given a heart full of treasure and talent and feelings and desires. In short, God has granted us potential realities for leadership and success at many levels. It's our job to dig up whatever potential we have. The choice is whether we are going to allow fear and experiences to keep our potential buried, or choose to step out in faith and see that potential turn into a reality. One of the best examples of this is found in the parable of talents. In this parable in Matthew 25:14-30, the master entrusts three servants with various amounts of money to be invested while he's away. He returns at a later date and checks out what they have done. Two of the servants stepped out, took risks, were diligent, and earned a handsome profit for their master. The third was afraid and buried his treasure in the ground. He returned only what he was originally given. The first two were rewarded, and the last one was scolded and lost the little that he did have. Is that picture of reality or what? Those who take what they possess in life and are diligent and faithful with it over time grow and build something good, right? I hope this is clicking with all of you guys. But those who allow fear to keep them from stepping out not only fail to increase what they have, they actually lose it. As Solomon said about minding what is inside the heart, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Above all else is pretty strong language, don't you think? We can see why Solomon uses those words when we realize that without guarding what is inside the heart, no building is ever built. No career is ever born or reborn. No leader ever achieves his or her potential. His phrase, wellspring of life, says it all. It means that place from which it all comes. Success and failure alike arise from what's going on inside. inside. A wise person is the one who pays attention. Put on your hard hat and take the appropriate risks. Julia didn't just dig things out of her heart or out of her soul and let them lie there. She took risks to invest her invisible treasures in the visible world. Julia stepped out and tried her skills. With each new victory, she gained more ground in the external world as the interior world of her heart and soul were expanding. There is very little growth and reward in life without taking risks. As the parable says, the one who buried his treasure in the ground did so to avoid risk of loss, failure, and disapproval. In the end, though, he replaced all three of these disasters. Clearly, avoidance of risk is the greatest risk of all. Listen to that again. Avoidance of risk is the greatest risk of all. Taking risks, however, does not mean that when you discover a treasure in your heart, you should just roll the dice. Julia was diligent and followed her path with wisdom and calculation. She took it one step at a time. As Solomon tells us, the wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception. The deja vu leader is not afraid of downside of taking risks, but he or she does not jump off cliffs and then expect good things to happen. To the contrary, healthy risk is calculated, integrated, and then executed with diligence and thoughtfulness. Most leaders who left it all, took a risk, and succeeded will tell you that their decision was not flighty or impulsive at all. They made their move only after preparation and thoughtfulness. Make your invisible world visible. In order to get to the outside visible world, your desires and talents have to be minded, refined, and sculpted. You have to own them, work them, and use them. Here are some tips on how to do that. First tip is listen to what bugs you. It might be a message. Second tip, don't let negative feelings just sit there. Do something about them. Third, don't let long-term wishes and dreams go ignored. Find out what they mean. Fourth, listen to your symptoms. They may be telling you that you have something to dig up. Fifth, pay attention to your fantasies. They may be telling you that something is missing that you need to resolve in appropriate ways. Six, face the fears and obstacles that have caused you to bury your inner treasures. It's time to, when Chas, I'm about to go to another retreat at Chas's this week, and when we do these retreats, we'll both tell you, anybody that's gone there will tell you that when we really dig into why somebody's business isn't moving forward or growing, it doesn't have anything to do with this business. It's all things that they're holding on to from their past that has nothing to do with business. You have to face the fears and obstacles that have caused you to bury your inner treasures. Don't confuse the next tip. Don't confuse envy with desire. You may be envious of someone else's position or success because you have lost touch with your own dreams. The next tip, do everything above in the context of your values and the community of people who are committed to guarding your heart. If you do not have such a community, find one and join it. You all have a community. Every single person on this Zoom today, you have the people that are willing, the community that are cheering you on. Now you just have to take those first steps. And the last one is ask God to help you find your heart, mind, soul, and the treasures He has placed there for you. Often the biggest sign that tells us of things buried in the heart is numbness, and life is that and life that is not alive. Deja vu leaders will always choose life, and that means their hearts, minds, and souls are always getting attention. And when they see those telltale signs, they take action. Grasp your dreams, reach for them, take appropriate risks. One of the worst things you can die with is potential. Potential is something to be realized, not guarded or protected. So dig it up, invest it, and you will find that it is true. Life comes from the inside out. Okay, the second of the 9 leadership tips, skills that you need to develop is deja vu leaders do not allow negative things to take up space in their lives. So hold on a second. Let me see if I want to read this part. Yeah, I think I'm gonna skip over it. Sometimes the negative energy is generated by the presence of things that are truly negative, such as significant unresolved problems with a project or a coworker. These are major negatives, bad stuff. At other times, the negative energy comes from things that are not innately bad, but simply are not best for the person involved. These are minor negatives that distract you from these deepest desires in your heart or the most important things in life, but they can spoil your dreams as readily as the big stuff. Here we go. Examples of negative energy in a leader's life can be physical, such as the junk piles up on your desk or your computer files, relational, such as people who are bad influences on you, or emotional, such as an unnecessary anxiety or worry. We need to clear out clutter, dead weight, things we keep around that don't help us but take up space or drain resources. Get rid of the things you are not using. Maybe you can relate to a few of these examples. Relationships that aren't going anywhere, or even taking you places opposite of where you want to go. What relationships in your life aren't aren't going anywhere, and they're actually taking you in opposite direction of where you want to go with your life? It's time to really rethink those and maybe remove some people from your life. The second one is activities at work or home that are not getting you where you want to go. Think about where you're spending your time. Leaders don't spend their time on things that aren't going to make them money, but also not going to grow their souls. Things you own or paying for that you're not using and that are not bringing you true or lasting benefit. And the last one is time you are spending that is not contributing to your well-being or mission as a leader. Either fill the cavity or pull the tooth, and the sooner the better. Then new energy, resources, time, and space become available to you to focus on the things that, as my friend said, have a life in them. The negative energy drain is stopped. Make room for the good stuff. Sometimes the negative isn't fixable, and you have to give up on repairing it and toss it out. That may mean letting go of the expectation that something particular can be improved, such as a product line, a department in a company, an employee on probation, or even a pretty good idea. If you know that investing more time toward reaching a solution is never going to help, then it's time to pull the plug and move on. Forget repairing it or changing it, let it go. The pain of brain drain. Another troublesome aspect of allowing negative things to continue past their time is the way the mind deals with them. Think about it. When do you worry about avoiding unresolved negative issues? The answer for most of us: when you can do the least about them. When we avoid facing things directly, they tend to grab at us, and times when we can't address them effectively. For example, the financial issue you've avoided at the office pops into your mind the moment you lay your head on the pillow when you wake up in the middle of the night. The character issues of your 19-year-old son that have bugged you for years and not faced until he flunks out of college and gets sent home for drug abuse. Your tendency to commit to activities you don't like brings up resentment when it's time to attend them, but you don't do anything to get out of them. The job you hate but are holding on to for no good reason causes frustration as you drive to work every day. Working on a project with an employee that you know you should have fired last year makes you angry. Now, I want to say something about some of the stuff I'm reading. I want you to replace that working with a promoter that isn't doing anything that you know you should have moved on from because you're dragging them along. So here's the sad result of not living like a deja vu leader. You get the negative emotion of all your problems without the benefits of solving them. Avoidance is really not helping anything because you still expend the energy and feel the hurt. If you had simply yanked the bad tooth when it started bothering you, you would be over the pain by now. Avoidance always prolongs pain. One of the toughest things to figure out is when to let go of something that's important to you. When do you finally give up on a project, an employee, a goal, or an action plan that just isn't working? I want you guys to hear this very loudly. Short answer: when all hope for the desired outcome has been exhausted. Hope is one of the greatest virtues in life, right up there with faith and love. But hope is not a fairy tale wish, it's bedrock, and you should be able to order your life without it at your side. Hope means investing time and energy towards results that you have solid reason to believe can be achieved. It's not hope to invest time and energy in a goal that has no forces acting upon it to bring it about. That is stagnation. It's a waste of time, and a time is ultimately your life and work are about. Pulling the tooth, getting rid of the painful problem has an added benefit of making room for a positive alternative. And in fact, new things that actually have hope for the future cannot appear until you get rid of what was taking up the space that new things need. If there is no hope for whatever it is you are clinging to, Let go of it so you can be open to something new and life-giving. So this is called the cringe factor. There's another way that the deja vu leader deals with negative problems and energy drains that is even more effective than fixing them or pulling the tooth, so to speak, not getting into them to begin with. I went to visit a wise friend and advisor several years ago when I was trying to decide from among several options of what to do next in my life. One option looked very good and had tremendous potential for good things. The other problem, as I explained to my friend, was that the person I would be working with had issues. He had a reputation among people who had worked with of making them feel used. My advisor looked at me and said, "Why would you want to work with him?" Well, I said, "That's the downside of this deal. He has a lot of good points. I just have to swallow hard about being connected with him." My friend said, I'm old enough now and I have enough experience that I just don't do any deal or work with anyone where the cringe factor is involved. What's the cringe factor? I asked. It's the big gulp you would have to take to go forward, he explained. My rule is this. You guys, I have lived by this rule since I read this book. It's called The Cringe Factor. And I'm not kidding you. Wait, like I live by this. Okay. So anyways, he says the cringe factor has become a guiding factor for me ever since. My rule is this: anytime I have to cringe or take a big gulp to agree to do anything substantial with anyone, whether to hire them, work with him, or anything significant, I don't do it, period. So the lesson here is that the best way to fix problems is not to have it in the first place. Learn and listen to the little voice in your head that tells you things like, this doesn't quite feel right. I don't feel comfortable doing this or agreeing to this. This is not what I really want. This violates an important value. I'm going to resent this for a long time. I wish this wasn't going to happen. Solomon gives us a great proverb about the cringe factor. A prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. If you encounter a situation that you would not want to live with, fix it before you go forward, or don't go forward with it without realizing that you're choosing to live with a bad tooth. Any An ounce of prevention is worth £1,000,000 of cure. Unresolved negative things have no place in leaders' hearts. They have no place in leadership. This principle does not negate patience, longing, suffering, hope, or working out difficult relationships over time. Do whatever you can do to fix what is wrong and make it better. Forgive and reconcile, but don't let bad situations sit stagnant, get infected, and drain your life away. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Move quickly to deal with whatever is crushing your spirit. What's crushing your spirit in this business? We all come into this, I think, and we come into it with high hopes and fun, and we're having fun with it, and we're meeting people, and then all of a sudden, for a lot of people, it turns into something that's crushing our spirit. But that's something you're choosing, and I think that's huge, absolutely huge. Okay, the third leadership thing: deja vu leaders evaluate their decisions in the present based on how they will affect their future. That's number three. An old man sat down on his favorite bench, just as he did every single day, for his lunchtime ritual of reading the newspaper. Leafing through the pages, the old man noticed a young man sit down at the other end of the bench with a newspaper of his own and began reading. After a few minutes, the young man said, "Excuse me, sir, would you happen to have the time?" The old man looked the young man over for a moment. "No," he said, then went back to reading his paper. Puzzled, the young man said, "Sir, I don't want to be a pest, but I see that you are wearing a watch. Yet I asked you for the time. You said no. Have I offended you in some way?" The old man eyed him up and down. "No, not at all," he said finally. Then he went back to his paper. "But I don't understand," the young man said. Why won't you give me the time?" The old man put his paper down. "Well, when you first sat down, I noticed you. You seem like a nice enough young man, clean cut and all. You seem interested in the world and its current events, as I noticed by the particular paper you are reading. Then you asked me for the time, and I figured if I gave it to you, we might strike up a conversation, and you would probably tell me all about yourself, and I would probably like you, and we'd become friends. Then I would probably invite you to my house sometime to meet my family. If that happened, You would meet my wonderful daughter, whom I love very much. She would probably like you, and you would probably like her too. So the two of you would likely become friends and then go out on a date. And if that happened, chances are you'd fall in love and get married. And I'll be hanged if I'm going to let my daughter marry any man who doesn't own a watch. The principle we're talking about now is this: deja vu leaders evaluate their decisions in the present based on how their decisions affect the future. They rarely take any action without considering its future implications. Tell a man the time, and you might just end up marrying off your daughter to a guy who doesn't own a watch. Life is a slippery slope. You never know exactly what might happen down the line when you make a given choice, but the wise person at least thinks about it. However, a deja vu leader don't just think about future implications when making those big, scary decisions. They tend to think that way all the time in matters large and small. Successful leaders know how each scene contributes to the film's good end. They don't see just one scene, they watch the movie to the end. The simplest way to look at this principle is a matter of cause and effect. If I do A, then B will happen. But that doesn't illustrate the profound nature of it. Experience takes us much further than that. It's more like this: if I do A, not only will B happen, but C will too, and D and E and F and G and on and on. This is the difference between cause and effect and the deeper version of true sowing and reaping. Sowing and reaping is much bigger than the connection between what I'm doing now and what will occur immediately following. It's about what I will ultimately end up with if I sow this particular behavior, choice, attitude, value, or strategy. It's the long-term view. More accurately, it's the end view. What will happen in the end is the question that a wise leader seeks to answer. Deja vu leaders evaluate almost everything they do in this way. They see every behavior and every decision as a link in a larger chain, steps in a direction that has a destination. They see these links in both directions, the good and the bad. They think this way to attain the good things they want in life and to avoid the bad things they don't want. In short, they rarely do anything without thinking of the ultimate consequences. They play the whole movie, so to speak. Anyone, any one thing you do is only a scene in a larger movie. To understand a particular action, you have to play it out all the way to the end of the movie. After viewing the entire film, you can decide whether you really want that scene in the movie of your life. If it alters the plot of your story or takes you to the other scenes you don't want to live out, or even causes the movie itself to have a different ending than you have plotted, then you don't want that scene, no matter how inviting it may be. Conversely, if it alters the plot of your story in a direction that you would want it to go in, if it creates later scenes that you would want in your life, then you would indeed want to add that scene. No matter how hard the scene itself is, you might want to choose it because it will get you where you want to go. Once in a while, I'm going to skip this part because it's not crazy important to this rule, but this rule states that every action that you're going to come in you're going to run into a lot of issues throughout business. In the last 12 years, I know I have, and I've had decisions to make. Am I going to go this way or go that way? Am I going to choose this or that? Am I going to believe this person or that person? Am I going to let the story play out, or am I going to react? What you have to do is really think about, if what I'm about to choose to do, let that play out into how many different ways it could go. Because I promise you guys that leaders don't just react. There is no jumping in with both feet, subtle, I'm going to go ahead and see what happens. No, everything, I can honestly say that every choice I've made, I have played out all the scenarios to see where that would end. And if it has that probability of ending up in the long run to not be in a good place, you don't go and you don't lead others there, because that's the thing about leadership is that's what people do. They trust you. And then now they're going to follow you. That's why, it amazes me when when things get shitty and people think about, oh, I'm going to go to another company, or, the grass is greener on the other side. You're not playing out the scenario a year from now, 2 years from now, or 5. Where will those people be? because I promise you, if you were, you wouldn't be going anywhere. It's selfish decisions that you really have to watch out for as leaders, because what all you have is your integrity, right? It's yours, you control it. And it's all that matters. And it's what people will remember. So surviving the scary scenes. Um, Hold on, let me see if I want to talk about that at all. I'll just read this part. Plot a movie, a vision of your life, your career, your relationships, your finances, and so on. See it, plan it, and then evaluate each scene you write every day in light of where the movie is supposed to end. If you do that and make sure that you include the right supporting cast along the way, I will be so happy when I get to see your Oscar for successful leadership and life well lived. Well done, good and faithful servant. And the cool thing is the best reward is the life that you have built over time. That's the reality, that the choices that you're making every day is going to turn into, something absolutely amazing. Choose the right scene at each pivotal moment, and you'll be the star in a great movie, and one scene at a time. Okay, the fourth thing that all leaders must do is deja vu leaders continually ask themselves, what can I do to make this situation better? You've probably seen it played out on the screen many times. A runaway train is about to jump the tracks, sending hundreds hurtling to their deaths. A mother and her children are trapped on the top floor of a flame engulfed apartment building. A bunch of machine guns toting bad guys are about to rob the city bank. The scenarios change but have a common theme. People are in deep trouble and need help fast. At the last possible moment, bursting out of the nearest phone booth in the blue leotard and red cape comes Superman, faster than a speeding bullet. You can substitute your favorite good guy if you want: Spider-Man, Batman, the Avenger, whomever, but the result is always the same. When the superhero arrives, the threat is disarmed, the crisis is averted, and lives are saved. Here's what I wonder when I see these old clips. Why doesn't anybody else, step up and do something to save the day? It's like everybody else is powerless even to try to intervene. The people seem resigned to the fact that if Superman doesn't show up, they're all doomed, so nobody even tries. Deja vu leaders do not reflect the paralysis of the citizens of Metropolis. Rather, as a fourth principle states, deja vu leaders continually ask themselves, what can I do to make the situation better? And then they do something. They tend to call on themselves as the first source to correct difficult situations. It doesn't matter whether they think they are to blame or not. Even if someone else is at fault, they take initiative to address the problem and seek a solution. Whatever the answer may be, deja vu leaders make a move, spring into action. We live out our lives in various contexts, circumstances, and environments. At any given moment, we find ourselves in many roles and relationships. While contexts change, the constant is who we are as people, our character, and how we express that character in the ways we live. The deja vu leader tends to be consistent in living out the get moving approach in whatever setting it finds himself or he or she finds herself in. In many different contexts, he practices ownership and responsibility and therefore finds freedom and success. A great majority of the problems we face as leaders are people problems. When there is a breach in a relationship, the deja vu leader figures out what he can do to repair it. Instead of hoping that someone else will make the move first, the good leader might take the following actions as appropriate. First action: ask, is there anything in my attitude or actions that has contributed to this problem? What can I do to change it? The second thing: deal with their hurt and anger so the communication is more likely to help things rather than hurt. The third thing: ask, how can I communicate to the other person that I see the role I have played in our problems? Point out the role I played in the problems. 4, go and apologize. 5, go and confront. 6, go without an agenda of only listening and trying to understand how the other person has been hurt. 7, go and make amends. 8, get feedback from others on what was the need to change and then find out how to do it. With people who are hurtful, angry, controlling, or have problems that affect you negatively, instead of letting your feelings depend on the mood or behavior, do something. Go and make them aware of the problem. Ask if there's anything you can do to make it better. Set limits on your exposure to the problem and let them know that you will not be around them as long as it's occurring. Offer to help them get help. Bring in others to help. Perform an intervention of some sort of, if necessary. Get away if they are abusive and make it clear that you will not be around until they get help. Take responsibility inside yourself for your reactions and the way you allow people a problem with a person to get to you. Choose different and better reactions than the ways you have responded previously. Get help to respond differently. Manage your expectations. Love them instead of expecting things from them. Stop enabling the problem in whatever way you might be doing so. Do not depend on them for things that cannot give, such as approval, validation, or love. Enforce consequences. Compare the people who actively do things in these examples with the ones who sit and complain, stuck in their misery, and wishing that they had someone in particular or in life in general were treating them differently. I've seen lives transformed when people begin to adopt the deja vu leader strategies of asking himself, what can I do to make this better? Okay, I want to stop and say something about this. Many of you if you're on my team, I've dealt with conflict with many of you. You've messaged me, you've asked my advice and support, you've put me in calls and messages with somebody you might have had an issue with, or you come to me with concerns and problems on your team. And the one thing that I always get is, how did you learn to do this? I follow everything that I just said to you guys. There's a book, there's another book on this that talks about basically, leaders. It was a John Maxwell book, I think, maybe, or a Brian Tracy. But in this book, he says, do you want to be right? Do you want to be successful? And that always sticks with me, because you kind of, you're getting it and you're making it when you no longer have to be right. When you're willing to diffuse and dissolve a situation and say you're sorry, even if you know you haven't done anything. When you're willing to sit back and recognize that other people, maybe you've done something, maybe not in your eyes, but you can't approach a situation. It's kind of like when somebody gives you a backhanded apology. Well, I'm really sorry you're offended by that. Um, when I said it, I didn't mean to offend you by it. Like, they start making excuses for it. No, it's just, I'm super sorry. Like, there doesn't have to be, leaders don't have to give an explanation to stick up for themselves. And I think that it's so important, because along your journey in leadership, you are going to deal with so many different people, aspects, conflict more than anything else. Because guess what? Not everybody's people, you're my cup of tea. I might not be yours. A lot of people don't like me as a leader. I might not like the way you do things, but you need to have a common respect for people, because most people are good people and they all deserve success. There's not many people that don't deserve success. Just because they don't do it the way you do it or think the way you think doesn't mean your way is the right way. So there's so much to learn. But anyways, we live out our lives in various contexts, circumstances, and environments. At any given moment, we find ourselves in many roles and relationships. While contexts change, the constant is who we are as people, our character, and how we express that character in the ways we live. The deja vu leader tends to be consistent in living out the get moving approach in whatever setting he finds himself in. In many different contexts, he practices ownership and responsibility, and therefore finds freedom and success. A great majority of the problems we face as leaders are people problems, right? So, people problems. Read that. Hold on, let me make sure. Read that. Okay. And then I can do the rest next Monday, because we're almost done. Okay, so last thing on I want to read this last part. It says, recently I was talking to a friend of mine, Tony, who became the president of ABC Television. The story of how his career got started is a great example of how to be an active participant in the events that shape one's life. He began in the proverbial mailroom. He chose the mailroom over more interesting positions because he knew that delivering the mail throughout the company would put him in contact with every department. He would meet all the people in the company, know what they did, understand all the jobs, and then be better equipped to work his way up. He then set a goal to be involved in a certain division by a certain date. He did not limit himself to some narrow description of a job, but agreed with himself to take any position available just to get into that division. The heat was on for him to be active, pressure imposed by no one other than himself. Through delivering the mail, he met employees and human resources and learned of an opportunity coming up in his targeted division. Someone was needed to take over a position for just 2 weeks while an employee was on vacation. The hours, 4:30 to 8:30 in the morning, were such that he could take the temporary position and still keep his regular job. He knew nothing about the work he would be doing in the temporary position, but that didn't stop him. He spent the weekend researching how he could do the best job possible in the short 2 weeks that it would be in that division. He arrived each morning at 3:30, an hour early to prepare for his tasks. He found ways to benefit his boss instead of just trying to make himself look good. He truly served his boss. He added value to the division and to the company. After 2 weeks, the boss was so impressed with how prepared Tony was and the job he was doing that he hired him away from the mailroom. My friend was now in the division of the company that he desired. From there, he was picked up by the upper management, and the ball started rolling that placed him in the president's chair. And a handful of years later, luck, providence, certainly, as Tony said, I can see that God was involved in every step. But it was the same God who gave us the parable of the talents. The story tells us that God's system requires a successful leader to behave exactly as my friend Tony did. Dig up your dream, but then ask yourself, what do I need to do now? How can I improve my lot? What do I need to do to get where I want to be? What skills do I need to develop? What fears do I need to get past? Whom do I need to meet? How can I invest my talents? These are all questions address steps toward all these questions address steps toward proactive initiation, which God's system demands out of those who expect success. Then he asks us to ask him for his provision to open up doors and make opportunities for the initiative to be exercised. We must pray and we must also act. If it takes money to make money, a common excuse, then go raise the money you need. Don't just sit there and wishing for a big budget. Do something, make a move. If the economy is lousy, don't wait for it to change. Gain a skill in a different field. Look somewhere else. Find another niche. This is hot. Enlarge your network or openness to other doors. Start your own service business or something. Don't just sit around and wait. As the British actress Dame Flora Robinson said, ask God's blessing on your work, but don't ask him to do it for you. So get with the program. Be who God created you to be. Send Superman to the employment line. Get moving and do something. Okay, so I went through the first half of this book. Like, it's not long, whatever. I can go through the other ones next Monday. But I got to tell you guys, so good. This book, I think I read it, I don't know, a couple years ago. But if you read really any John Maxwell leadership books, Brian Tracy, they all talk about these 9 principles. They maybe add some different things, say it a little bit differently, but they all talk about these 9 principles. The reason I chose this book to kind of read to you guys is because I knew it was a short read and something I could get through in 2 Mondays. But this last thing, I hold on a second, where he says, dig up your dreams, but then ask yourself, what do I need to do now? How can I improve my lot? What do I need to do to get where I want to be? What skills do I need to develop? What fears do I need to get past? Whom do I need to meet? How can I invest my talents? These questions address steps towards proactive initiation. Dig up your dream before the dream even comes true, before it can ever be a reality. You have to do these other things. Have you done a live video yet? Maybe you're scared to do Instagram or TikTok. It says, how can I invest my talents? What fears do I need to get past? What are your fears in this bit? Who do I need to meet? You need to meet people in this business, because one person will change your business forever. So anyways, I don't know if y'all liked that or not. I know it's kind of silly me getting on here reading out of a book, but I just couldn't say it better than the book did. So I thought, you know what, that's what we're doing. Next week we'll go through the last rules, the last 9 things a leader must do. I think we have 5 left. The name of the book is 9 Things a Leader Must Do, Breaking Through to the Next Level by Dr. Henry Cloud, forward by John C. Maxwell. And, you know, yeah, you don't have to have any people under you to already require these leadership skills. But if you want to have people under you that want to follow you ever, you're going to have to acquire these leadership skills. You have to start somewhere. And it starts with the beginning. You know, the first chapter talked about believe in yourself, set your goals and dreams, right? The second chapter, okay, don't let things of the past get in your way. Figure out what's been holding you back. You know, the third rule, they all talk about the things that we talk about constantly on these Zooms, right? But it's just a matter of, okay, get past your fears. What are your talents? Meet people. How can I improve and get, believe the end goal, right? Think about things in your business that are causing you issues and problems. And okay, do I want to be part of these problems or part of the solutions? I mean, there's just 2 choices. So, okay, anyways, we if you all are just joining us in the morning, we always end our day with 100 Days to Brave. We finished that book. So now we are starting on 100 Days to something else, 100 Days to Peace. Hey, we all need some peace, right, in our lives. We all need to be brave. Now we need some damn peace. I need some peace and quiet. I can't wait till my daughter goes back to school. So we are going to end our Zoom out this morning with that, and then we will pick a winner for the morning Zoom gifts.
Awesome. So if you've never won anything, drop me in the chat, please. And once we're done reading, Lisa will pick a winner. This 100 Days of Peace is a daily devotional by Stephen Arterburn. It's Arterburn, if anybody wants to grab it. Day 1, God offers peace. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John chapter 14, verse 27. These are turbulent times, difficult days when worries are easy to identify and peace may be a scarce commodity. But no times are too turbulent for God. And if you sincerely desire the peace that passes all understanding, you'll find it in him. The familiar words of John 14:27 reminds us that Jesus offers us peace, not as the world gives, but as he alone gives. Have you found the genuine peace that can be yours through him? Or are you still rushing after the illusion of peace and happiness that the world promises but cannot deliver? This day, complete with its assortment of ups and downs, is a gift from the Creator. This day will contain many blessings. This day will provide quiet moments for prayer and praise. This day offers yet another opportunity to welcome the Father into your heart and to share good news with the world. So honor him and thank him. It's the right thing to do in good times and in hard times. It's the peaceful way to live. God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from himself because it's not there. There's no such thing, says C.S. Lewis. Christ alone can bring lasting peace, peace with God, peace among men and nations, and a peace within our hearts. Billy Graham. My crown of the head to the sole of your feet, an irrepressible confidence. Oswald Chambers. For further reflections, you can look at Psalms 85, verse 8, Luke chapter 2, 14, John 16, 33, Philippians 4, 7, and Colossians 3, 15. Today's prayer. Dear Lord, I open my heart to you and I thank you, God, for your love, your peace, and your Son. Amen. Lisa, do you have a winner for us?
Hold on a second. Kimberly Brzoska. Brzoska. Yes, Kimberly, get a hold of one of us. And send us a message, whoever. your leader. If I don't answer you, that means it's going to my dang others folder that does not show up. So
You
that
can
means,
send me a message as well.
yeah, congratulations everybody. Thanks for getting on. And if you're new to this or want to spread the word, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, different leaders on, and it's a good Zoom, good way to start your day. We'll see you Wednesday morning, same time, same link. Bye guys. Thanks, Shannon.